Wiggity 1 2, wiggity wiggity. Check 1 2. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's working. Okay, what's going on, y'all? This is another episode of the Sanity Trance. I just got home from living my life and had some time to do this, so I figured I'd throw down real quick about the idea of wealth. This word, I know everybody has different ideas of it and definitions and perceptions about it. And I think it's one of the most it's one of the healthiest, words to unlimit as far as definitions of it go, because the more you can see wealth, the more you can find it, the more you can create it, the more you can use it. It's just something more of a perspective issue, you know. It's just not necessarily a world that's one way and you're born the other way. There's all these blurred lines about how to see things and use what's in front of you for its natural occurrence. You know, it's just the most authentic and organic and natural thing you can do is observe nature and use nature to naturally get yourself to a more natural place for yourself. You know, if you can feel more fully expressed, then, you know, that's only going to help creation create itself in a much more efficient and pure way. And that's kind of what we're really going for with our creations. You know, even the ridiculous ones with no reason behind them are using this as an engine on like a development level, you know. But anyway, the idea of wealth getting unlimited, right? If you think about, I mean, just let's say you are on the wealthier side of the earth, you know, as far as people who live their lives, certain lifestyles and stuff. I mean, from personal experience, I'm not saying I'm on this at all. This is how I can relate. Is we all have these sensory experiences of experience from one subtlety to the next. And I know personally I have an extremely hyperactive mind, and I know there's been experiences I've almost completely missed out on for them happening all the time, or just being autopilot, me not having to actually consider what I'm doing, and, you know, just going through the motions. It's like I've missed entire meals, and that's depressing to me because I love food and I love to eat, and I love the experience of food in general. Like that whole thing is just crazy. But you know, my mind might be on something else, some other peripheral layer of thought that's not in front of me. You know, it might be like last week's experience somewhere, or what am I gonna do tomorrow, or I wonder what such and such thinks about me for that thing I did, or, you know, all those things they could take your mind away from your current place, and I would consider all of those layers peripheral. You know, the more they can distract you, then, you know, those are deeper layers of, you know, further out from where you are. Those are higher layers of peripheral vision on that level, but there's still something you missed entirely. And as far as how expensive that meal was, you know, that can change, but it doesn't change the truth of the experience of that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're not there to enjoy it, you miss it. It doesn't matter how much money or experience or time you have. If you don't zoom in on that moment won't zoom in on you, and you don't you don't get to have that because you're busy zooming in on something else, which is having its experience of you and all those things. It's creating a different neuropath instead of deciding to focus on the muscles of the intention of being conscious of consciousness. So you can use your consciousness consciously. Instead of doing that, it's like you're actually getting better at daydreaming, or daydreaming or, layers deep. And that's a skill in its own right. But understanding that there is a time to use that is very much still practicing consciousness of consciousness and using consciousness consciously. I just feel like I have to say all those together, or else the bow tie isn't complete, because that's the point of it. It's the more you can be conscious of, the more you can really tweak every little knob that you can to really fine tune your existence. And so that's kind of where wealth has come into my life, is like just the idea of health is wealth. All these cliches people say, it's like they're all true, but that's already one great example of wealth not being straight up money, because that's really getting you to see the point. I think perception is wealth. I think that right there, instead of waiting for the world to come to you or show itself to you in some strange way, I think you should learn how to understand how invaluable your senses are. Because if perception is wealth and you're not good at perceiving perception or the sources of your perception to fine tune your perception to be less biased or whatever, or however you want to do it, like I said, it's something if you'd like conscious control of it, you have to notice it, and then you can experience the thresholds of it, and then you can fine tune it how you like in between to taste or whatever. But I think wealth is just how far can you push your perception? How much can you really taste on a sensory level? How much can you taste your experience? That's kind of, to me, I feel like that's all ESP really is extrasensory perception. It's just extra sensitive perception, and but you can push it so far that it breaks the boundaries of each individual sense. It's like you can hear something so deep that it starts to make you think about different things, which might affect your sense of balance in your chair, or it's like all of these things might push something super far or give you more ideas. They all create something. And again, if you really get to hang out with something and experience it for the first time, you really also get to have its experience of you, and you can use that as a writing tool, because that's, until you've really done it, you can't really truly get as much perspective as you'd like. But I mean, if you can take yourself there in your imagination and take as many of your senses as possible, you'll be able to get more out of it just by using your mind. I mean, technically, everything we're experiencing is with our mind. It's like, if you think of the opposite of conscious, it's just unconscious. So it's like, I guess on the extremes, it's like we're here being healthy or living our lives or whatever, but then there's also people in vegetative states of coma, and I don't know what's going on there. I've heard a lot of cool stories about people having their own experiences from within that, but never having had one myself, all I can say is I've seen people who are in conscious control of their own lives and their life decisions and their life path, and that seems to be the opposite of a position to do the same from a vegetative state. It's just being awake versus being asleep. And so really, how awake can we be? How hard can you hear what's going on around you? How can you hear the negative space of your air, instead of hearing what's around you? Can you hear the objects taking air out of the room, and those kind of things? It's like hearing the air move around all the objects in a room without using your eyes. There's ways to exercise each one of your senses, and just by certain jobs that you do, you'll be forced to work on one or another. And so everybody's got different gifts and different directions for all sorts of cool, authentic, natural reasons. And so organically, you can just take what's in front of you like nothing and just use it. But yeah, if you consider perception being wealth, and your senses that create your perception are invaluable. Let's pretend you just take out your eyes and replace them with trillion, like, well, I mean, invaluable. Let's just say like $1 trillion just to put a number on it. So if you had replaced your eyes with $1 trillion eyes, I don't think it would be that the eyes are made of $1 trillion materials. It's that everything you see just became worth trillions of dollars, everything in your existence. And if you believe in that, and you're down, it turns into more of how hard do I feel like working, because once once I tried that trick on myself, I realized there was just way too many companies in my face that hadn't come to life yet, just because all I'm doing is looking at the world from a point of servitude. And I'm wondering, how can I make this better? And I'm finding not one, but way too many answers, tons of answers. And yeah, I don't have time to start all those businesses, but I mean, it's amazing what being a true host of hosts will do. If you're just trying to be a servant and make everybody have a good time on their own accord, that's a lot of work. But that mentality is also invaluable, because it's like that's the gold mine of all great ideas right there, is just like, how can I make this better? Even if it's a self-serving thing, it's like somehow reach the intersection of selfish and selfless. And it's only because you have $1 trillion senses. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could get into, I mean, your life will change if your ears change or if your eyes change. I mean, it's just any of these senses you can push to the limit and find an entire industry's worth of ideas surrounding that. And so if you can take the idea of synesthesia and unlimit that, I mean, you'll find yourself meditating with synthesized senses. Like, I keep going to balance, but your sense of balance is a great one, because you need your you need a couple different senses to pull that off. But anyway, that's just one. There's a few, right? And that's just being, I hesitate to even say it like that, because I mean, the imagination is fascinating. That's our way out each time, from the outside in. And so that way it can come from the inside out, but only after being conceptualized by a mind willing to reach. So, um, but, wealth and stuff, uh, I, I really feel like once you can see the world like that, you should also learn how to appreciate the world and really understand that maybe everything around you, even though there's a number on it, maybe everything around you is worth trillions of dollars because you're willing to see it for what it is. And I say that again, forgive me for the number that may not age well or whatever, who cares? I just need a really, just a huge number in your head for the sake of concept. But it's, that's how I felt once I feel like I have $1 trillion eyes, because it's like I love everything I'm looking at. It's just like what a gift it is to be alive, really. It's like if I were to lose any of my senses, I mean, I think about that a lot, and so it really makes me appreciate having them. And I feel like I'm sick because of that. I just feel like my ghetto fabulous existence is just priceless, invaluable, worthless, same word. No, literally though, it's like I just feel like I've found one of the secrets to life right there, is just like my willingness to realize how priceless it is to be alive. So all of a sudden my chair feels like it's invaluable. My entire life is invaluable because of the way I've realized that our health is invaluable, because it allows you to branch your skills out, which are also invaluable, because this is how you can find a way to imagine wealth into reality. It's like I can create something with my mind that can turn into an idea that can translate and be turned into cash or whatever. It's all barter stuff, but it's still the idea of someone who's willing to see the solution, because the solution is right in front of us all the time. it just can't speak. If it could, it would, but at the same time, that's no fun. Why would it give away its only secret? It's, I don't know. It's I just love the idea of like that's the beginning. Your perception and your ability to love your every second of existence as far as you can on as many levels as consciously possible without overdoing it. It's like you have to know where your threshold of attention is, and when it's all mixing. It's just mixing again. You got to make sure there's enough, not too much of one flavor over another, and you got to make sure they're spaced out right. You have to make sure everything is on different layers, different places on these layers, and you have to be able to see the entire thing as one solid message. And hopefully the message is I love you. So, if everyone's doing it right, you can tell. And you can tell when everything's got its stuff together because people are really putting their all into this. And all that really means is no matter what, they're putting their love into it, and that's a pure translation of the electricity that we all kind of are coming from. All these impulses we live and decide to experience and express. It's like that's all coming from the same source that ends up translating itself out into our purest expressions, unfiltered by bias or reason or logic. It's just gonna happen, and it's happening whether we like it or not, and we're all returning to that as we get older. um, and that's usually, it takes an entire life's worth of stuff for you to get to the end and be like, yeah, I don't regret any of that, what a ride or whatever. But it shouldn't take that long. I think if you can just think about if you can just think about wealth and unlimited already, you won't be one of these regretful people at the end of their lives who are just like, I should have this and this and this. It's like, so what, man? You're gonna do things, but were you doing them when you were doing them, or were you always worried about what you want to be when you grow up someday? And give yourself a break. You got to know what's real, because obviously there's a God complex going on of some way, shape, some degree. And I know it's a harsh way to say it, but that doesn't mean it can't exist on a threshold of a small percentage. At some base level, we do have to exist. We do have to own a name and all these things, but that's that's also the template. That's the gift of creativity, is like, we're gonna start here, but you know the rules. There's a time and place for all of it to be just manipulated, and everything's malleable when it's time, and it's easy. It should always feel right. And when it doesn't, it's some priority that's out of whack for a little bit. But hey, whatever. They're all experiences with a story to tell, and if you need help understanding your thresholds, that listening to your body is a great way to tell you, because it's like, when you feel like when everything's amazing and you're in the middle of doing your favorite thing or whatever, it's like there ain't a bone in your body that feels like maybe we shouldn't be doing this or whatever. But yeah, anyway, that's all I wanted to say, is like, just true wealth, man. Unlimit yourself, and I hope you realize how priceless you are, how priceless your experiences around you, all your senses. Really taste reality today. Give yourself a chance to appreciate the gift that the universe has given you, and reflect that gratitude right back at it. And because people need to know. Everybody is so disconnected from facial expressions from wearing masks all the time with everything going on right now. And so now that we're all starting to unmask and stuff, it's like I can see, if I don't show people that I'm relaxed, they won't relax, and vice versa. But at the same time, I've gotten to really consider relaxing a lot, and it's almost like the template of my entire existence. Like, I refuse to work hard, even if I'm going to do something that I throw my life at for several years, like all the time anyway. It's like, I'm not gonna feel like I'm doing it. That's the rule. And if I can hold that down, I can do something for ever and never notice it. So I'm just trying to line things up in the name of harmony, and that's what harmony feels like. When you're out of tune, it's not the most comfortable massage there is. It's just like when things are, when it's out of tune. It's out of key. It's out of harmony. It's out. The math's wrong. It's the leaning a Tower of Pisa that doesn't stay standy somehow. Most of anytime I try to do anything like that. But yeah, much love, y'all. I've been really loving doing this, and I hope the things that these ideas have changed my life, and I really hope that they change yours as hard as they have changed mine, because I really I have unlimited my experience of wealth, and I know what I have, and I know what it is, and besides that, maybe I'll figure out the whole money stuff in the meantime or whatever. But if I don't, that's nobody's fault but mine, and it's my conscious decision to work hard if I feel like it. But again, whatever, man. I create, and I think creation, and creation creates, and I will continue to do so beyond the grave. So much love to y'all. I will peace out and see y'all next time. But yeah, man, y'all stay wealthy. Look around, taste it. It's good. Don't worry. Make it work. It's your bad if you're not having a good time. Really, have fun. All right.